Oh my God, Scott, you look great.
Thank you. So do you.
Your office is all cleaned up. You're on. We're not having any technical difficulties, knock on wood.
Right.
I'm going to turn my volume up a little bit just to be sure here. Okay. So, how are you?
Good. I was up early, rewiring my Wi-Fi. I blew out my network and I reestablished it, and actually it's not totally there. I got to get a guy in here, but we're on. So I'm in business. It's a workaround. Sometimes you got to do workarounds.
Thank you so much for doing this for me, Scott. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
What made you finally pull the trigger and call me about coaching?
Well, first I met you at HanaCon, and I was very interested in getting a coach that understands our systems that we use, because I wasn't really utilizing them totally. I used to have Top Producer, and now I'm trying to use the tools that Howard Hanna has, and you have specific knowledge about that. So that was enticing to me because I thought, why should I pay for something outside, or Top Producer or something outside when I can use what's already provided? And so that was one of the reasons, but also because I met you in person.
but also because you were ready for a change.
Yeah, definitely.
So a little bit about you. How long have you been doing real estate?
I've been licensed about 18 years, 2006.
Okay.
And I just retired from my other full-time job for 44 years, which was the Cleveland Orchestra. Yeah, I was a bass player with the Cleveland Orchestra. You can see my instruments in the back. I still have them. I can't get rid of them. They're like my babies. And so I'm just trying to go full-time real estate, and I'm excited about doing something. But I just need a little help.
What did you want to change? What wasn't working for you that you felt like coaching would change for you?
Well, first of all, I was practicing it this morning when you taught me, how can I help you? And I used that talking to one of the guys that, we were talking in my last coaching, and he was very responsive. He's not ready to do anything, but he was so responsive. He really appreciated just, how can I help you? So simple.
So interesting that just works when you just ask a question like that. How can I help you?
Yeah. And it's like, and then shut up and listen, So
that's the hard part for us. That's the hard part for us.
No.
Shut up and listen. That's the tough.
Yeah, me too. So we get each other, which is cool. Yeah.
So that was one of the things you wanted to change. And we talked about changing things. So how has coaching changed your perspective? You gave me an example, but how has it changed your perspective and what you feel like your business is going to be like now?
I think it's going to get better because I have we talked about last time, I need to get more organized, and I already followed up some of the things on Engage about printing out the mailing labels. They didn't come out as labels, but they came out as a list.
A list, that's right.
Yeah, which is fine. And then kind of taking, breaking down a project into smaller pieces and just execute. Don't worry about overthinking. Just execute it, and which goes exactly to the 12-week year, which you probably heard about. And I did that last year, and it was really successful for me. So if I can incorporate what I did before, and then the things you're teaching me through Real Scout and that sort of thing, and not be so afraid of it, just go for it. I think I'm going to be, sometimes we worry too much about doing it perfectly, and then we don't do it at all. And I learned that there's a book by Rory Vaden that says, Take the Stairs. He talks about that. So,
well, I think accountability for you was a big thing. You wanted someone asking you if you had actually done it. But give me, since we started to coach, what you feel like your big success was?
Since coaching?
Success, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm learning Real Scout, and I was scared of it, and I'm, getting over it. We talked yesterday about nurturing, auto nurture, and that sort of thing. And so, it's just that it's a little hard to see when you're setting it up. You have to go back, like back to the video, and then it's hard to remember. But just those little tips has helped me a lot.
But I mean,
So,
what was the thing that I remember? I remember what a successful thing was for you. And it was a listing that you had that you were really struggling with. Do you remember this?
yeah, the one that was overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
We're closing today.
That's that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So that was a struggle for you to get those questions out and to be able to do that. I feel like that's what really helped you change,
Okay.
because those were the things that you felt uncomfortable with before, and now you're comfortable with them.
Okay. Makes sense.
Talking to people. Is that, are you agreeing with me or disagreeing with me? You're
I'm
allowed to
agreeing.
disagree.
Well, there were so many moving parts in that transaction. I can't remember exactly which one you were talking about, but
I'm
yeah,
talking about the conversation you didn't want to have with your seller that you did have with her.
oh yeah, and she got it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we got a cash offer. I mean, it was like then it turned into a no-brainer. But you know, the we had no showings, and I had the brokers open and the whole thing, and it was always the same advice. And she, well, I don't want to get into specifics of my client, but
You were really concerned about how to talk with her about it. And when we talked through it,
yeah,
you made the call, and it all turned out exactly the way you wanted it to turn out.
right. And you were on that call, right? Was that the one?
Well, no, we
that
did
was another one.
Yeah, we did practice calls, and I was on another call that you were on.
Right,
That was
right,
fun.
right.
When you had the phone call happen in the middle of our coaching, and you took it, and we went through it.
That was awesome. That was awesome. I love that. Absolutely love that.
The timing was perfect. Take the call, and we'll do it together.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that was a fun one. So, what kind of quirky habit or ritual do you have that helps you stay motivated?
I learned through ninja training, visualizations, and I write. I enjoy making such amount of money in gross commission. It doesn't say I want to. It says I enjoy it. So that you reprogram the amygdala or whatever that I'm assuming, because then it's maybe a little high. I think if I shoot too high, maybe it doesn't work. So I may have to lower that number. But I just keep doing it, and it just gives me enthusiasm to get to work and do things instead of mope about it. You know what I mean? Because it's very easy. Remember what you sent me about from perplexity, and how we're all depressed, and that gets me out of the depression and gets me going and gets me into action. So the biggest. It's one thing to think and plan; it's another thing to execute. And
so you're telling me that prospect sheet I sent you, you're filling up, right?
Yeah, well, that too.
So that's really important, because I think that's something that you didn't think about before, how important it is to fill your pipeline.
Yeah, not enough. And we'll talk in the next coaching about that. But just a more organized way of running a business. Otherwise it's just too transactional. You're worrying about, as Jared James says, the left side of the transaction and not the right side, which is the follow up and all that sort of thing. So,
all the things you have to do. What was the unexpected lesson or the hardest lesson you learned while we were coaching? Something the lesson that I taught you about something.
Yeah, you taught me a lot of things. How can I help you?
Yeah, well, that was the most recent. But what was the hardest thing? I think I know what it is. What was the thing that you really struggled with that we've worked on? And you're doing it right now, by the way.
Oh, learning Microsoft Teams.
No. Overthinking. You do a lot of overthinking.
Yeah, I do. And that's always a problem for me, and I have to fight it. But just okay. How to execute? How to get rid of the overthinking? That's a challenge.
Well, I think it's helping you move forward, and the overthinking is what holds you back, because you, again, as you said earlier, you want everything to be perfect, and perfect really doesn't exist. I just need you to move forward and not overthink it. So you're now doing a lot of things you didn't do before.
I think the overthinking also comes out of fear.
I agree.
And you can't run your life on fear. So,
Which is so funny because in your regular life, you're not afraid, but it's in your real estate life that I have to get you through this.
yeah, and I think it's because, I've got a lot of power producers, in my office, and sometimes it's discouraging, like, they're doing $40 million of sales, and I'm trying to get, 10 transactions a year or whatever. So I have to put that aside, and you're helping me, and, going to let you help me do that.
Staying in your own lane, like your lane is very different than that $40 million producer lane. You don't want to be in his lane. You want to be in your lane.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And when I remember that, then it's not a problem, but it's very easy to get sucked into because, so-and-so and all the awards, and I see they're bragging all the time, and, they deserve to, they did it, but that's not what I want to do.
No, this is your second career in retirement.
Yeah, exactly.
So we sort of talked about your numbers. I'm going to ask you kind of a quirky question. Okay, so when you show a house, what's a favorite home feature in a house that you're showing that you can't resist to show to someone?
My favorite feature.
If you go into a house and go ahead.
Cabinets that go all the way to the top. There's a soffit over it.
Okay, so you want them all the way to the ceiling.
It drives me when I see cabinets, especially on cheap flips. You see cabinets hanging in the middle of the wall, and where does all the smoke and grease end up? On top of the cabinet. And the worst one is when they make a little 2-inch thing like this, and then how do you clean it? It's like it's just carpentry, So
that's a pet peeve when you go into a house. You want the cabinets to go all the way to the ceiling.
It's one of my pet peeves, I
have to tell you. Every real estate agent I've asked has a different one. It's very funny. Everybody has something different that really sends them.
That's just like, why? Don't be so cheap,
So what tool or resource did I teach you that you feel like has helped your business the most?
Give me a hint.
No, you think about this. What are the things that you feel like, wow, Lou said to do that and it really worked?
Well, again, how may I help you?
How may I help you? I think it's because all of you are always so nervous to make a phone call that you don't think people want to talk to you. Right. And when you ask them that question, how can I help you? What can I do? And then shut up. Right. It gives them a chance to think and talk about, maybe you can answer this question, but you're not there to sell or buy their house or, to work on a particular project. You're there to help them in any kind of real estate.
Well, this is where I try to use the Ford questions, F-O-R-D, that they teach in the Ninja Selling, which is you have one mouth and two ears, use them proportionately. Mm-hmm. I was at a brokerage I had a brokerage open yesterday where the woman was telling me about her whole history of coming from China, and she was a musician and blah, blah. And then these guys with a title company and their home warranty. And it's like, I'm not here to get sold to. I'm here to see the house. Mm-hmm. Right, I'm a broker's open, and finally I just said, "Oh, I have to leave. I have another appointment." But she wouldn't shut up. I couldn't.
What could they have done better that you and I talked about? What could they have done that would have made that experience better for you?
They could have asked questions.
There you are. All they had to do was ask you questions about you, which is the same thing I'm teaching you for your clients. Right. You need to ask them questions, not talk about you. Talk about them.
Right. Exactly.
Because that gives people a lot more comfort. And you wanted to get the heck out of there because it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was incredibly uncomfortable. And I know that the more the client shuts down. The more I can get them to talk, the more they get engaged with me.
Right. And they learn to trust you and you develop a relationship with them, which is what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Scott, what made you decide that you wanted to get your real estate license? 16 years ago, you said 18 years ago?
Yeah. Because what happened was that when I was with the orchestra, we always used to negotiate every 3 years a new contract, which included a new benefit for pension benefit. They froze that forever, like 18 years ago. And I thought, wow, I've got to get something else going here. And I used to take care of my dad's 6-flat apartment building, drain the boilers and do all that kind of stuff. So I was, kind of familiar with that. And my realtors thought I would be good at it. So I decided to try it and I thought it'd be really exciting to retire from one thing and have a whole new career to go to. Mm-hmm. So you get up and you shower up and you get some, instead of sitting around watching, the baseball games or how people do and they look old when they're 50. I mean, just go through the obits. You can see it, in the newspaper,
So here's a question, which I think is interesting. So you went from music and studying sheet music and being totally autonomous to now real estate, which is really customer service based.
Right.
How was that jump for you?
Yeah, it's different, and I like it because it is different, because I feel like I'm actually dealing with the real world, contractors or banks and stuff, and not. I mean, I love classical music. I still go to the orchestra, even though I'm not a member anymore, and all that's great. But sometimes it doesn't have to do with like reality of everyday people, and
Okay.
I just love working with clients and making them happy. I mean, that's my whole thing.
Terrific. So talking about music, what kind of music do you like to listen to when you're working?
No music.
No music. Why?
I like silence.
You like silence. Well, what's your favorite kind of music?
Kind of music?
Yeah, what kind of music is still
Anything
orchestra?
any kind that's good. R&B, Motown, classical. If it's good, I like it. I recognize quality. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to say thank you. That means me, right? Well, Scott, thank you so much. And thank you for everything you did to get ready for this. I so appreciate it. Next time we get together, I'm thinking about things we're going to talk about. So,
okay, you got it. All right, thanks.
Care,
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, Lou.
Bye-bye. Scott's one of my favorites. A very unusual leap from the orchestra to real estate. Did it for a long time. I did meet him at a convention that I was at. And we stopped and chatted for a few minutes, and he asked me some very specific questions about what I could do for him to try to help him. I think what was most interesting is he struggles with the sales part of it, some of the sales calls and things. And I'm trying to help him understand that people don't mind talking to you because you're really there to help them as a real estate agent. We're there to help them. We're not there to just try to push a house on them or to have them sell their house. We're there to help you through any kind of thing that happens in real estate. So Scott's one of my favorites.